This is 7 News.
Tonight, bushfire danger. A close call as fires break out across the southern suburbs. We have a live report. And a father's love as burns patient Dana Voolan recovers from her 5th operation. Also, the death of a TV legend.
Welcome to the new Price is Right.
Ian Turpie loses his battle with cancer. And it's lights out for a star eagle.
He's knocked him out.
From the studios of 7 Perth, Emmy Kubainski.
Good evening. First tonight, it's been a busy afternoon for firefighters battling 2 blazes in Perth's southern suburbs. Blake Johnson is over the fire zone in the 7 News helicopter. Blake, a home still at risk.
Emmy, there's still a bushfire watch and act for people in Piara Waters in the city of Armidale. The fire there began about midday and about 60 firefighters have been fighting it most of the afternoon. They're still there at the moment. A couple of helicopters are parked on the ground in case it flares up again. At this stage, no homes have gone, but the flames did get quite close to a couple of sheds. Lots of smoke in the area. We spoke to a fire incident controller on the ground a short time ago.
We did have a hop over where the crews actually had to chase the fire quite vigorously and hard to get on top of it. So at that stage, it went towards the Piara Waters estate, which we managed to contain as it was approaching the estate in Piara Waters.
Parts of Armidale Road and Nicholson Road remain closed tonight. Now, nobody was seriously injured in the fire, but a firefighter was taken to hospital suffering heat stroke. It's been very warm outside today. 41.1 we got to. Another day in this heat wave. 37 tomorrow. And Emmy, finally a cool change on Tuesday. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Blake. The family of Burns victim Dana Voolan say she's emerged from another operation and is starting to show signs of her former self. Today, friends and family held a fundraiser for the 25-year-old who's likely to need treatment for another 2 years. Australia's entertainment industry is tonight coming to terms with the death of one of its most enduring and best-loved talents, Ian Turpie. A talented actor and singer, the 68-year-old was best known as the host of The Price is Right and that famous catchphrase, "Come on down." It was a hectic night for police with 8 house parties across Perth ending in violence. At one party, the back window of a police car was smashed by people throwing bottles. All up, about 1,000 people were involved in the out-of-control parties, but only a handful were arrested.
A 16th birthday spills onto the street in Midland. Nearby residents told us up to 200 people, some underage drunk children, were yelling at police and threatening to hurt people. One person was hit with a bottle. A Midland detective's car window was smashed.
Fights here, fights there, fights everywhere, I guess.
A total of 8 parties were shut down by police last night, from Sorrento to Karrinyup, Manning to Warnbro. The clean-up in Manning began early, so too in Sorrento. Neighbours washed vomit off the footpath after a fight at the 18th birthday for Mark Hogan's daughter.
Initially, the guys were causing a bit of an issue out onto the road here, and then unfortunately, at that point, because we'd shut the party down, everyone came out to the front, and human nature, they wanted to see what was going on.
About 1,000 people were involved across the 8 parties.
If people are being disorderly, you can expect to be arrested.
Nearby residents are angry, only a handful were.
One person out of so many young kids, I reckon it's shocking.
The police union says the Regional Operations Group, which handles these types of incidents, doesn't have enough officers to be able to shut the parties down when trouble starts.
If we went there in mass, we could lock these people up in the street who cause a lot of problems. They need to be taught a lesson.
Blake Johnson, 7 News.
A Perth man has told 7 News how he fought off 2 home invaders who kicked down his front door in the early hours of this morning. The 28-year-old was injured when he was set upon by the intruders, but he stood his ground and eventually forced them out.
This is where a steel-capped work boot hit Moses Montenegro in the face. The 28-year-old and his housemate were woken at 2 o'clock this morning when their front door was kicked in.
I ran out and there's somebody trying to looking for car keys, and I chased them out the front of the house, and or they started throwing stuff at us.
What kind of things were they throwing at you?
I started throwing my mate's work boots, and then they started grabbing bricks.
Housemate Josh couldn't fight back because he's got an ankle injury. Moses grabbed a kitchen knife and told the intruders to get out. But for a while, the men who had covered their faces with shirts wouldn't budge.
You don't expect them to retaliate and really battle with you. You think they're just going to run off, but yeah, they're getting a bit, more ballsy.
Although the intruders snatched the car keys, they were forced to leave without the car. They drove off in a dark blue sedan. Chantel Tui, 7 News.
2 people have been killed on WA roads in the past 24 hours. A 33-year-old Perth man died after a crash on Bustle Highway south of Bunbury. His car hit a tree near Centenary Road. And a 26-year-old woman was killed when her car ran off Stock Road in Yangebup and then rolled down an embankment. In a crash in Gidgegannup, a man was airlifted to hospital after his car rolled several times on Roland Road. He's in a serious but stable condition. So far, 36 people have died on WA roads this year. Big changes for WA's learner drivers have been announced. In future, they'll have to do twice as much supervised driving as they do now. Currently, they need 25 supervised hours after passing their practical test. In future, learner drivers will need 50 supervised hours, half before their test and half afterwards. The change in the law is expected to come into force later this year. 2 Perth women are at the centre of a special Sunday night report on the scandal of leaking breast implants. A Perth doctor says he warned the Therapeutic Goods Administration that implants made by French company PIP used industrial silicone instead of medical silicone. But nothing was done.
A lot of women buy them for vanity purposes alone. It doesn't make it any less serious or any less important that it be dealt with properly.
It's absolutely disgusting that these things are even approved in the first place.
See the full story on Sunday night, straight after 7 News. Well, it's 1 year to the day since an earthquake triggered a massive tsunami which hit Japan, sweeping away entire towns and causing a nuclear disaster. A minute's silence has been observed across the nation to remember the dead and the thousands still counted among the missing.
7 News.
Probably not for me. Time for sport now with Adrian Barrett, and the Eagles are into another grand final, Barra.
Yes, Em, they're 7th in 25 years. That's next. Plus, Eric McKenzie down but not out as Nick Nat does it again. West Coast storm into the pre-season decider.
And he just got a huge leap.
And World Championship gold for Super Sally Pearson. Darren Glass on 7 News tomorrow night. That's all in sport. Now here's Emmy.
Thanks for that, Barra. The weather for the working week is next, and then it's Sunday night with Chris Bath.
Thanks, Emmy. Tonight, the wild party town where anything goes. But why are so many young Aussies dying? And the breast implants that could be toxic. Terrified Australian women are being ignored. That's next after 7 News.
We certainly felt the heat today, and if you're wondering whether we've broken any records, we have. We've had the most number of heat waves in a season since records began. And it's not over yet. We're in for another hot day tomorrow. By 10:30, it was already 35 degrees. Just after 1:30 this afternoon, we peaked at 41.1. Right now, it's a warm 31.9 degrees. On the chart, a high pressure ridge lies to the south with a deepening surface trough near the west coast. That trough will move inland tomorrow. Around the state, showers and storms in the north. Hot conditions for many of our coastal areas with humid conditions developing late tomorrow afternoon. Across the country tomorrow, fine in Brisbane and Melbourne. Light showers for Sydney and 25 degrees. Sunny and 30 in Adelaide. On the water, north to north-easterly winds 8 to 13 knots, increasing late in the morning and then tending south-southwesterly during the afternoon. Seas to 2.5 metres on a swell of 1.5 metres. So we're in for another hot day tomorrow, 37 degrees. A cooler and more humid change will sweep through Tuesday. Not enough to bring any rain, a top of 31 degrees. Temperatures will then hover around the 30-degree mark for the rest of the week, and Friday getting down to 28. And it's looking like one of our warmest Marches on record. And that's where we'll leave you this evening. Rick and Sue are back tomorrow. Now here's Sunday night.